Welcome to Bourbon and a Baby. My name is Jay. Max will not be joining us today because Max has not been alive this entire year, so he can't. How can he pick a whiskey of the year under those circumstances? All right, and today we are going to be picking Bourbon and a Baby's Whiskey of the Year for 2019. Now, I wanted to do a Whiskey of the Year video, but I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to go about doing that. I don't have access currently to all the limited edition releases that come out yearly. Hopefully, maybe sometime in the future, that can be a possibility. So I can't really put those in the running if it's something I haven't personally tasted yet. So what I thought I would do is I would take every whiskey that I've personally reviewed on the channel this year, which so far has been 15, and I chose out of those 15, 8 of my favorites from that bunch. So that's New Riff Bottled and Bond, Weller Antique 107, Henry McKenna 10-year Bottled and Bond, Angel's Envy, Wild Turkey Rare Breed 116.8, Uncle Nearest 1856, blackened whiskey from Metallica, and finally rounding that out with Middle West Spirits straight wheated bourbon, Michelin Reserve. So I'm going to take those 8. I'm going to do 2 separate flights of 4, blind flights of 4. So my wife was kind enough to pour this blind flight here for me. So this is semifinal number 1. So I'm going to do a semifinal of 4 and then another semifinal of 4. I'm going to pick my favorite of those 2 flights, and then I will have a final, those 2 against each other again in a blind pour. So this should be fun. It'll be exciting to see which is going to come out as my favorite and my whiskey of the year for 2019. I do have some preconceived notions. I want to say my mind, if you told me I had to pick without doing them blind, I probably would be torn between New Riff Bottled and Bond and Uncle Nearest 1856. So that's my thoughts going in. So let's see how those end up. Maybe, who knows, maybe they'll end up last in these flights. You never know. That's the beauty of doing these things blind. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna smell and taste each of these, maybe kind of go back and forth through them a couple different times, and then ultimately I'm going to pick which one is my favorite of the bunch. And I'm gonna rate them too in place in each flight, so you know, 1 through 4. So let's go ahead and get to it. I'm excited. All right, let's start with A. Go to the nose here. This smells like it might be slightly higher proof, like 100 or above. And I do have several that are in that category in this flight, so that doesn't really narrow it down too much. I get a lot of cinnamon here. Typically when I get heavy cinnamon on the nose of a bourbon, I tend to think Weller Antique 107, but I haven't tasted this yet. I'm not really trying to guess what's what, but just kind of my initial thought. Yeah, the cinnamon's really heavy. That's the most prominent thing I'm getting off the nose here. Cinnamon and maybe like a light brown sugar and just a touch of, you know, some of your other baking spices. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. Wow, that is a jolt of cinnamon on the palate too. Really carries through. A lot of cinnamon. It's pretty warm. Like I said, I definitely think it's probably over 100 proof, or at least at that 100 proof mark. Yeah, it's like if you've ever had kind of like rock candy, but with, you know, a cinnamon flavored rock candy, or even almost like a one of those like hot tamales, those little candy hot tamales. That's really what I'm tasting here. I am picking up some other notes as it kind of goes down the palate a little bit and goes down. I do get some almost like kind of like a buttery feel, not like butter, like the taste, but just kind of the texture, the feel. As it goes down, it's just kind of a buttery mouthfeel going on. I do get, like I said before, that brown sugar. This is really, really sweet. Really heavy on the cinnamon, but also really sweet. Yeah, just if I had to make a complete guess, I would totally guess that this is the Weller 107. Yeah, let's go ahead and check out Bourbon B. This is a completely different experience on the nose. Getting much more of those sweet notes, like kind of like a candied apple, some caramel even, vanilla. This is almost on the complete opposite end as A was. It's hard to explain a texture from just smelling, but it smells it smells like it's kind of thicker and kind of heartier, if that makes sense. And a little bubblegummy. Kind of smells like kind of like your if you took a double bubble and a juicy fruit and chewed on them at the same time. It's totally what I'm getting here. So let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. That was cool. That was an experience. So I got hit right up front, kind of right at the tip of my tongue, with a heat. Not necessarily a spice, but just kind of a heat. Almost kind of burned the tip of my tongue a little bit, in a good way, not in a bad way. And then it kind of smoothed and mellowed out as it went to the back of my palate and down my throat. It's got warmth on it, but it doesn't feel overly hot, as in proof-wise. So, I mean, it could just be like a really smooth 100 proofer, or it could be one of the, you know, I think there's like a 90 to 95 in here, somewhere in that range. It could be one of those. But yeah, this is definitely a much different experience than A, and I really kind of like that experience. And even that second sip kind of was different from the first. So I got rye, pretty prominent, right up front on that second sip. Rye, brown sugar, but buttered like buttered rye bread with brown sugar on top. But then it gets some of what I was picking up on the palate as it kind of goes down. On the finish, I get some vanilla and caramel as well. That's fantastic. That's a really good pour. All right, let's check out C here. Kind of more of a faint nose in the first two. I get some of the barrel influence here. And I get kind of a nutty note to this, kind of like kind of almost peanut buttery, I'd say more almond butter actually, more of an almond butter note to this. And just a little bit of like vanilla, kind of like a vanilla almond butter going on, but it's pretty mild on the nose, pretty faint. So let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. Okay, this is definitely interesting. Again, that nuttiness carries through. Definitely, it is, and it does have like a thicker kind of mouthfeel too. So it is kind of like a thick almond butter. There's also brown sugar, and there's also some barrel influence there. I can kind of taste some of that, you know, charred oak coming through as well. I don't have a guess on this one on either B or C yet. I still think I know what A is, but we'll see how wrong I am when we actually find out. But yeah, let's give this a second go. Yeah, this is just really, really nutty, which I don't remember any of these when I did the reviews of saying that I remember having an overly nutty one. So yeah, I have no idea what this is, but it's good. I just wish. It is coming up a little bit short in a couple areas. I wish that maybe you got a little bit more of those sweeter flavors. I tend to like sweeter bourbons, and it does have its points, but it, that's what it's kind of missing for me. But it's still really, really, really fantastic. I like that. All right, let's go in for D here. I get rye on this. I get brown sugar. I get barrel, that kind of that oakiness going on, that barrel spice. And also I get vanilla and even like white sugar I get on this. There's a little bit of ethanol coming off. So again, like A, I think this is definitely 100 proof or above. But let's give this a taste. Cheers. Now that is an experience. If you're looking for an experience when you drink bourbon or a whiskey, whatever this is going to give you that experience, because I'm getting all kinds of things going on. First, I definitely think it is higher proof. It doesn't kind of hit you in the face like an Elijah Craig barrel proof or something like that. But it definitely tastes hot, but in a good way. Kind of what you're really looking for out of a barrel proof, where you're getting a lot of different flavors. So yeah, I definitely think that this might be barrel proof. I think this might be a rare breed, if I could go out on a limb. But that's just first impression, first sip. Let's see what else I'm picking out here, because I'm definitely picking up caramel, I think, and vanilla. Let's see if that carries over on the next sip. Yeah, and so I get that barrel influence, I get that charred oak, that really comes across. It's got kind of a black peppery feel to it as well, especially on the tip of the tongue. But then vanilla, caramel, even some of that rye spice. I'm getting all that. This is like well balanced, but at the same time, not. Let me explain. So you get a lot of different notes, but so that's what I mean by it potentially being well balanced, is that, you know, you get a lot of different notes, but they don't all meld together. They all kind of hit you in different spots, which I think is really cool. That's kind of one of the things I tend to look for more in bourbons now. When I first started drinking bourbon, I wanted it to be kind of really smooth, really easy to drink, you know, so potentially a little bit less flavorful. You know, I just wanted the experience to kind of be as simple and easy as possible, because I just didn't have a taste yet for a lot of things. Almost like when you first start drinking beer, you know, you don't usually start with an IPA, you start with like a Bud Light or Miller Lite or something like that, right? So, so this is like more of like your IPA, right? You're getting more flavor, but it's definitely hotter, but it's more of an experience. So, oh, and as I'm talking, because like the finish kind of keeps going on, and I'm getting like a really, really thick caramel on the finish as well. So, man, this is gonna be tough. But I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna taste all these again one more time, kind of, you know, maybe go back and forth between a couple different ones, and then I'm gonna rate them. So, I'll be back. All right, and we're back. I've made my decision. This was pretty difficult. I had a clear third and fourth. So what this one came down to for me was between B and D, and it was a struggle to figure out which one I liked the best between those two, because they had kind of different things going on. B was that kind of that bubble gum, had that kind of bubble gum experience going on, and it was super smooth, super easy to drink. It was a really nice, easy experience. Whereas D was kind of that, it was a little more bold, had hit you a little harder, had a little bit more flavors popping out at you. So experience-wise, I think D ultimately was the better overall experience. So that's the one I chose as my winner. So let's just go through these. First of all, in fourth place, I put A. Just a little too much cinnamon for me. Again, this is not something this is one of my 8 favorite bourbons of the year. So I don't dislike it, but it just a little too one note, and like I said, just a little too much on that cinnamon flavor. I guessed it might be the Weller 107, so let's see if I was right. Yeah, I was wrong. So Bourbon A was Middle West Spirits, straight wheated bourbon whiskey. This was kind of my ringer. I thought that this might kind of do well in this, so I'm a little bit surprised that that it finished last in this flight. But like I said, it kind of came across, and I don't remember when I first initially reviewed this as it being heavy on the cinnamon. So really surprised at that, honestly. But wow, cool. All right, so that's an Ohio bourbon. So I don't know how available it is outside of the state of Ohio. So you know, you might not necessarily be able to get your hands on it if you know you're living somewhere else. So all right. In third place, I did not have a guess for this one. This one was the one that was really nutty, so I'm kind of curious to see which this was, because again, when I reviewed some of these, I don't remember having a real thick, heavy, nutty one that I reviewed out of these. So let's see what it is. Interesting. So this was Blackened by Metallica. Okay, all right. So I remember that being a little bit more fruity than it was necessarily nutty. Cool. All right. So that leaves the final two. Let's just pick the winner. So Bourbon D, which I picked in first place, was Weller 107. Good old Weller 107. Kind of a surprise, but not really. Surprise because I honestly thought when I put these 8 together, I really do like Weller 107, but I thought that it wasn't going to hold up against some of the other ones. So, all right. So there's a reason why there's a high demand for this, because it's pretty damn good. So that leaves Bourbon B to be New Riff, Bottled in Bond. New Riff was one of the ones that I thought might win this whole thing. And like I said, it was a really tight race between these two. But what does that say about New Riff, Bottled in Bond? That this is a 4-year-old bourbon out of a pretty new distillery at a reasonable price, going up against one of the big boys, one of the most coveted whiskeys out there. Just recently saw a massive price increase, and if you can't buy it at retail, you're paying, and you have to buy it in the secondary market. That price goes even higher up. So for these two to be neck and neck, that says a lot of good things about what they're doing over there at New Riff. So all right, Weller 107 to the finals. Cheers.